Welcome back to Interact Learn by Doing Season 2 Project 1. In this course, what we're going to talk about is audiovisual workflows between Ableton Live and Unreal Engine 5. In this free portion of this course, you'll learn everything you need to know about MIDI reactive communication between Unreal Engine 5 and Ableton Live. If you're a member of Patreon, what we'll do is we'll take the communication that we set up in this video and we'll create all kinds of MIDI reactive effects using blueprints, as well as a bonus audio reactive option. Alright, so why don't we get started with the Ableton Live side of things. Obviously, to follow this course, you will need the Suite version because we need to create MaxForLive devices. So if you have that, go ahead and open it up, create a new project, and we'll drop in a Max MIDI effect in a MIDI channel. So let's go down here and drop in a Max MIDI effect. And let's open it up. And here it is. We'll full screen it. And the first thing I'll do is to just get to the inspector and this one here, this P thing. And I'll do open in presentation, just like that. And we'll close that and get into the patching mode, get rid of everything here. And what we'll do basically is get the MIDI in and we need to parse it. So we do MIDI parse and we'll connect that here. And out of the first port, we'll get the key and the velocity of the MIDI note. So we'll create a new unpack. So we'll click that into here. And in the second port, we get the velocity. And so what we'll do is when we get a MIDI note, if it's greater than 0, basically that means it's on, we'll send a bang. So to do that, we just do if $I1 is greater than 0, then bang. Just like that. And we'll just click that into here. And this will get a bang. And when we get a bang, we'll just create a new message. Let's just say this is the snare drum. So we do / snare, and then we'll send an integer of 1, just like that. And then here we need to do the OSC, and that's going to be UDP send localhost is 127.0.0.1, and we'll use a port number of 3000. And then basically we'll just connect this up to here. Okay, I'm just going to stop this video real quick. I know I'm going through this very quickly without any explanation, and that's because I'm not a MaxMSP channel. I want to leave it to the pros out there. Great channels. If you're interested, go do your own studying on how all of this stuff works. But for now, we're going to just go through this real quick, get it done, and move on to the Unreal side of things. Now let's go ahead and save this. So we'll just save. And we can call this, let's just say, learn by doing S2P1 MIDI, whatever that you like. We'll just save that and we'll close this up. And then it should be here. And we'll just create a new clip. Just random is fine. Let's just do something like that. Okay, and then we'll just drop in a snare. And then will be something like that. Okay, and then if we get something like protocol, which is a tool that you can use to check for OSC messages, we have port number 3000. And if we just go ahead and play this, you can see that it's coming through with the address snare and integer of 1. So now we're ready to receive this on the Unreal Engine side. Actually, before we go into Unreal, make sure you save your live set. And I've already done that here. Make yourself a folder and save it wherever you need to. And we can move on to Unreal. Okay, so you should already have an Unreal Engine 5 project template ready to go. The video is in the description if you haven't done it yet. Also, if your template is very old, I'd recommend that you go through it once again in 5.4 like I did, so that you don't have any compatibility issues down the line. Once you're done with that, like usual, what we'll do is we're going to Control C and V to duplicate it. We'll change the name to LBD S2P1. We'll just Control A and copy the name, dive in, and we'll also rename this to here, just like that. And I would also delete these three here. We want to regenerate them, so delete that. And you should be able to launch this. And let's wait until it opens. Once your Unreal Engine opens, I've gone ahead and turned off real-time here because we're just setting things up. And obviously, because we're using OSC, we need to enable the plugin. And that's going to be in Edit, Plugins. Let's search for OSC right here, and we're going to enable this and restart now. Okay, so once your Unreal Engine has restarted, what we'll do, of course, is to receive OSC messages from Ableton in Unreal, and we'll create sort of a blueprint actor template that you'll be able to use over and over again in your future audiovisual projects in UE5. Let's go over to the blueprint folder and we can create a new blueprint class, actor, and we'll call this BP OSC underscore T1 for template 1, let's just say, and enter. And when it opens, we'll go to the event graph, get rid of these, and if you've taken any of my previous courses, this will just be a refresher. So if you're comfortable with setting up OSC, you can just skip forward. So if you're not, let's go ahead and create a new OSC server. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll just populate it 127.0.0.1. That's localhost. Port is 3000. And we want to start listening immediately. And what we'll do is we'll create a variable that we can edit in the level. So that's going to be receive IP address. Let's check the public mark so that you can edit this in the level or wall outliner. And we'll just do the same thing for the port. We'll click on that. All right. And then we'll get the OSC server. We'll save this as well. Let's call this OSC underscore server. Okay, and we save it. So we keep it in memory. And we need to bind an event. So we just do bind event on OSC message received. And we'll pipe that into here. And the event, we'll do a create event. And let's just see, we'll select create a matching function. Sorry, create a matching event. So we'll do OSC in for this event. And let's go ahead and delete this mistake here. And it's going to be here as well, delete. And OSC in, we need to save the message. So we'll promote the variable. OSC MSG is fine, just like that. And then after this, we need to get the address as a string. So we do address get OSC message address, like that. And then we need to convert this into a string. So convert OSC address to string. And then over here, we'll do a switch on string. And then here is where we will have all the OSC message addresses. So why don't we just put a couple or a few, and let's just say kick, snare, and let's just say synth, just like that. And then once we get anything here, we'll fire stuff from here, and that's about it. So we can just compile and save. The one last thing we're going to do in here is obviously right now, all we're receiving is an integer number of 1, which is okay just as a test. But later down the line, we may want to get access to the key or the specific velocity. So in order to do that, we need to be able to extract the value from the message. And we're going to create a function for that. So let's go ahead and create a new function. let's just say get value from MSG. So we already have the message here. So I'm going to get that, get, and then we should be able to get an integer at index, just like that. And then when we get the value, we need to create an output, just like that, and pipe in the value in as a new return value, and we can close this out. And we can go ahead and compile and save this. Actually, we should rename this to get int value, because let's say we also might want to get a string value. So we can duplicate this and get str value. So instead of this, we can get rid of this and also this, and we do a get string at index. All right, and we can go ahead and pipe that into here. And if we go into the event graph, compile and save, we can see, we can drag these in and get the value when we get the kick or the snare, stuff like that. And out here, we get the value itself. So basically for the template, we're done. So we're going to compile and save. Now that we have the ability to receive OSC messages, let's go ahead and create a quick and dirty blueprint actor that can visualize what we're receiving from Ableton. So we go to the folder and let's right click to create a new class, actor. I'll call it BP anim viz1. That's fine, anything you want. Let's replace this with a new scene, call it root, and we will drag that on top. And we'll add in a sphere. And what we'll do is we'll create a parameter that we can change the material in the level. So that's going to be in the construction script. And we'll drag in the sphere and we do set material. And then we'll connect this up here. And then this is what we need to turn into a parameter. So promote to variable. That's fine. And tick this on so that we can edit it in the level. And let's give it a default value of basic asset 1. That's part of the engine content. And if we compile, we should be able to see that it is orange. Great. Now in the event graph, we get rid of these because we're not going to be using this. And also in the class defaults, also untick start with tick enabled because we're not using anything with tick. And actually we'll be using timelines. So we do timeline and add timeline. Let's call this anim1. And actually, we don't actually need to connect this to the event begin play because we will trigger it with a custom event. So let's call it trigger anim. Okay, and this will be called in our OSC class. So go here, and then what is generally the practice is you want to keep this timeline length to 1 second. We'll create a float track and call it alpha. And to get access to this, we just type in the name, anim1, get, and we set its play rate, right, in the event begin play. So when we do that, we can set it to 3 because we know things are pretty fast with audiovisual things. So that's fine. And let's add in our keyframes. Let's just add 1 here. Really whatever you want. I'll do 0.2 and 1 for the value. I'll add another one here. Let's do 0.3 and that's fine. And then another one here. Let's do 1 and 0. Okay, and then we'll need to do this into a auto. Okay, and you want to just ramp up very fast. Okay, this is a problem. Let's flatten it. There you go. That's what I want. And let's taper it down like that. Great. Let's go back. And what we're going to do, obviously, is to scale our sphere. So we do set relative scale 3D. connect it to the update and the alpha into here. And we'll just do that. Okay, and let's see how it looks like in the simulation. So, okay, my bad. To simulate, we just need to play this right here, just for now. And as you can see, okay. So my bad, I need to set the initial scale to 0, and we can also do that here. So let's Control D and set its relative scale 3D to 0. And just like that, compile, and we should be able to see that it does that. And that's exactly what we need. So we can go back here, disconnect this. We're pretty much ready to go. So we can compile and save. And what we'll do next is to bring these into our level and connect up our OSC. Why don't we set up our scene now? So the first thing I'm going to do is to go to our camera, and I will pilot it, and I'll try to find where it is. Why don't we just set its value here? It's completely messed up, so I'm just going to exit this. So it looks like I've gone down by accident. So I'm just going to reset this all. And all I want to do is to face it down 90 degrees. Let's pilot it again, and let's go up. Right, and we want to put, let's just say 2 of these. But the problem is we can't see what it looks like. So what we'll do is temporarily, we are going to disable the construction script here, this one here, and we'll just compile and save. And we'll be able to see what it looks like right there. So why don't we just select these? I'm going to 0 them out. And why don't we take the transform tool? Okay, it's giving me some issues in Unreal here. Let's just say, yeah, 175 and minus 175. Why don't we just put 3, because why not? And we'll take that, put it in the middle. And of course, we can set different materials, as we said. So this one's orange. Let's just say this one is green. And this one is the silver. That works. And the directional light, why don't we make it a little bit more interesting? I don't understand why it's not casting shadows for some reason. Let me see what's wrong. Okay, so it must be the distance of the camera. So it turned out exactly to be that distance from the camera. And so I punched it a little bit to 900, a little closer. And the cube, I also brought it down so that we can see the shadows a little bit better. So anything you want, minus 110. And if it looks like this, great. And the issue with this is all down to the new lumen shadows. They work a lot different to what it was before. Anyways, now that it's fixed, next, what we'll do is we'll create our custom OSC class and link all of them up with the 3 different spheres. Okay, so in this very last part, what we're going to do is to duplicate our template and add our specific functions to it and references. So of course, don't touch this. This is a template. So duplicate it. Let's call it _1. I think that's fine. Enter. We can close this out. And we also forgot that we need to reset our construction strip back to where we had. So let's connect this up again, compile and save. And in here, we need to get references to our BP anim viz in our level. So what we can do is we can create a new variable. Let's call this one BP anim viz ref for references. And we have multiple of them, so we need to turn this into an array. And the type, of course, is going to be BP _ anim viz 1 object reference. And we need to make this public as well. And so what we can do basically is we'll compile and save. We won't be using this, so we can get rid of it. And for the 3, we can just basically get, and we just do get a copy. And kick, snare, synth. Maybe we can just change this to a hi-hat. Okay. And so with 0, we can trigger the anim, which is this event. So type in trigger anim. Okay. And then we can just duplicate all this, just like that. And let's make this nice and tidy, just like this. And we can bring this further out. Okay, and 0, 1, and 2. All right, so compile and save. This is ready. So we can drag in our VPOSC1 into our level, zero this out. We have all these parameters. This is fine. We do need to add 3 of our actors. So add 3. Let's do 1, 2, and 3. So now that this is set up, the only thing we need to do is set our camera as the view target. And to do that, we can just click on the camera, go to our level blueprint, get rid of this one, do get player controller, and we do a set view target with blend, and right click to get a reference to the camera, and that should be fine. Let's clean up and compile and save. So if we should run it right now, this is the state that we should be receiving our OSC messages from Ableton. Now over on the Ableton side, I made a quick little beat using the session view. I have some clips here and it sounds something like this. And basically those are the synthesizer drums. That's part of Ableton. And what we need to do is we need to actually add some few different things in our Max MIDI effects. So go ahead and open that up. And as you can see right now, we can only do snare, but we want to be able to switch them between the snare, kick, and the hi-hat as we set up in Unreal. So what we're going to do first is we'll just go ahead and duplicate these. And we have the snare, we have the kick, and we have the hi-hat. So let's just make this in order, hi-hat. So I think it was kick first, snare, and hi-hat. And we'll use a switch 3. And then we'll plug in these options, 1, 2, and 3. And we'll connect this here. And this input here will be here, just like that. And then here we need to give it an integer. That's going to be the numbers, integer or number. And we need to just do this. And we need to turn this into an argument. So click on that, attributes, parameter enable. I'm just going to click on the lock and do that. And I'll set the default value to initial enable. Let's set it to 1. Okay, and what will happen is that if we just put a bang here on all of these, and actually we need to put this into 1. As you can see, if I do this, I have to put in a message, my bad, like that. If I do that now, we can get kick. And if we do this to 2, that's snare. And then if it's 3, hi-hat. Great. So we can get rid of this. And this should work. And we need to put this into the presentation. So add the presentation. And if we put it in the presentation mode, we should put it over here. And we can save it. Right? Let's exit. And this is the snare, and that's going to be number 2. Let's copy this and bring this over here as well. And this is number 1. And the hi-hat is number 3. Okay, and that should be ready. So if we save this And what we can do is, if you have Unreal open, you can go ahead and play this. Okay, and then in the Ableton, start the session. As you can see, it's reacting exactly to the beat. This is the end of the free portion of this course. What did you think? If you want to continue learning the other fundamental programming methods that I've developed while creating my audiovisual pieces you see here, visit ntrct.live and access not only this course, but the 3 other courses in the course library at this time. I hope to see you there.